calling the order the April 2nd meeting of the CIC, the Citizens Involvement Council. Welcome, everyone. There's another meeting going on at this time. Urban Renewal is having a work session, so some of our members are still over there, including, I think, Nancy's still there, Kashauer, as well as Paul Edgar, and I see Mike's just appeared. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to our current CIC liaison, Chris Wadsworth, to do a roll call.
And just before we do roll call, I would like to introduce to you Katie Riggs, who is the executive assistant to the city manager. And she will be replacing me here on the CIC and with the neighborhoods. I am taking over as the accreditation manager for the police department with the retirement of Lieutenant Nunes. So please welcome Katie.
Welcome, Katie.
And congratulations, Chris.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for a great job you've done for all of us.
Thank you so much.
Berkeley Hills, Don Wright is excused. Walter White is excused. And Howard Post?
Yeah.
Perfect timing. Paul Edgar, he must be at Urban Renewal,
Yes.
correct? Larry Hanlon, Caulfield.
Present.
Rachel Gunderson, Chamber of Commerce is excused.
I do.
Kathy Hogan, Hazel Grove.
Here.
Tom O'Brien, Hazel Grove.
Here.
Steve Anderson, Hillendale's excused. William Gifford, Hillendale.
Here.
Michael Berman, Main Street.
Here.
Bill Daniels, McLaughlin. Alice Watts, McLaughlin. Here. Nancy Kreschauer will be here shortly. Tom Guile, Park Place.
Present.
Steve Van Haverbeek, Park Place.
Here.
Bruce Danielson, Rivercrest. Patty Brown, Rivercrest. Ingra Rickenbach, South End.
Here.
David Rickenbach, South End.
Present and accounted for.
Steve Tam, Tower Vista. Scott Young, Tower Vista, excused. And I'd like to introduce Amy Wilhite from Gaffney Lane.
Hi, Amy.
That completes roll call.
Okay, can we go around the back of the room and introduce anybody else who's here that wasn't announced?
I'll start. I'm David Knoll, the IT supervisor for the City of Oregon City.
Bob LaSalle from the Park Place area.
Susan Zelko from Clackamas County.
Okay, great. As you were doing the roll call, I was starting to think that occasionally there's some names that you announce that we haven't seen for a while. Are we keeping a record of who misses more than 2 or 3? I think we have a bylaw. You're doing that? Okay, terrific. Okay.
And make sure that everybody knows that there are agendas in the back of the room.
Right, if you don't have an agenda, you can pick one up at the back of the room. We figure this meeting will go to 11 o'clock tonight. That way we get done early, right?
We can hope.
We have 2 guest speakers this evening. Each of them are only having a 15-minute presentation. So let's get started right away with Susan, is it Zelko? Okay, Sustainability Supervisor for Clackamas County.
Probably won't even be 15 minutes.
Okay,
So I'm
put it down for 5 then.
I'm 5 minutes late from Bunko, but it's only a few blocks away. I am Sustainability Supervisor for Clackamas County, and I wanted to share with you something we're hoping that we can get some neighborhood associations to participate in on home energy workshops. We've been doing, some of you probably have seen all of our Going Beyond Green and Trash Talk newspapers. There's been information on incentives for folks to do energy efficiency retrofits and upgrades to their homes, and we've had some incentives from federal grant, and over 1,000 homes have taken part in that so far the last 2 years. So our money runs out, well, it runs out as soon as it runs out, very soon, but for sure by August 2nd is when we have to spend all that grant money. But in the meantime, we've been talking with Energy Trust of Oregon because of the outreach we've done locally with our communities and citizen groups, that they evidently have exceeded their goals all last year for about the first time, and they in their residential outreach subcontractors. So they want to try and see what we can do together after our federal money is run out. So at the county, what we're looking at doing is partnering with them, at least through the rest of this calendar year, to try and offer some energy efficiency workshops and just get the public information out to folks so they have a better idea of how their home works, how it works as a system, what is the most efficient thing to do if they are going to upgrade, put insulation in or put windows in or do air sealing or duct sealing, what incentives are out there and how to get a hold of them, just kind of point people in the right direction and kind of be the local folks that can help people out. What I've found is most people can't figure out what Energy Trust is, even though we pay 3% of our energy bill every month, goes to them to do this type of outreach. They're all located downtown along with their there are subcontractors that do outreach. They're all downtown in the high-rises, and they aren't out in the community. So what we've are working at doing, and I'll pass these around so you'll have a contact too, is a Home Energy IQ workshop, which Energy Trust does now, and this would be about a 90-minute evening or weekend or whenever the group would want to, but we're hoping some of the neighborhood associations would like to either, I want to give you this too, William, you can pass it out at the same time. We'd like to maybe sponsor this, or a couple go together. We only need about 15. I mean, it'd be better to have 20 or 25 people there, but what we do is try to get someone from the trade, so one of the contractors that does work, so they can even answer more technical information than we do. We have a PowerPoint slideshow. It's just kind of a show and tell and help people kind of figure out which direction to go. So Oregon City was the first group that we are coming to give this presentation. I'd run into William someplace, probably Farmers Market or something recently, and he said, well, you should come to the CIC and tell us about it. So that's where I wanted to start and see if you had any thoughts on that. I don't know how many, I've over the years have come to different meetings at neighborhood associations, depending on what's going on in your neighborhood. It can be 5 people there, or it can be 25 people, how much interest there would be if we'd want to do some joint sponsorships of this type of thing. The other thing that he's handing out, the nice colorful flyers, we are having an energy and sustainability fair on April 28th on a Saturday up at our Development Services building that's free to the public, but if people come and sign up and come to one of the workshops, they'll get a $10 credit card for PGE. We've got a bunch of other raffle prizes. We'll have contractors there, all kinds of information for both low income and everyone else on what they can get for weatherization and other sustainability activities. So what's your thought? Do you think that would be something the residents would be interested in if we put something together?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So I've got on the plain boring flyer with no color, Michael Piper, who is our energy staff person, his phone number, and he probably should have put his email, but I can get that to Chris, and it can get back out to all of you, too, as far as an email.
No, Katie.
Oh, that's true. Well, I know Chris's
You can send
email.
Fine,
Lame duck.
not a problem.
I just don't have Katie's email yet, so. So I think we also have other topics our office can do on greener cleaners, hazardless home composting. We've done a series down in Canby at their library. They've had us come down and do several different presentations. So there's some other things. This is our fall issue of Going Beyond Green, but it has a list in there of some of the speakers that we can provide, and I think there's also a list of what soil and water conservation can provide to community groups as well. The latest issue should be arriving at your homes this week, so you'll be getting fresh new ones, but it doesn't have the speaker list in it. So, yes.
Have you done any work through the schools?
We've got someone out in schools mostly doing waste reduction, but what we've been partnering with on energy is Extension. Extension Service has a pilot that is going on this spring in the Oregon City schools in their after-school program, and they piloted at a couple schools in Lake Oswego last year, about a 3rd, 4th, 5th grade level, and they're out in Malino and several other rural schools, too. So they're testing it, finishing out this year, and then it's Clackamas County Extension and a couple other extension groups will be refining it. So they do renewable energy, how energy works, how your house works. They build model houses and wire them and test things. So we're helping support that, purchasing some of their materials for them and things.
Okay. On our list here of those requesting to speak, William Gifford.
Susan, thanks for being here tonight. I have two questions, and the first question is a two-part question.
You only get one.
If I remember,
The first part of the first question, the first part has to do with funding. And you mentioned that there's granting programs, and you said the grants are expiring. Is that something that's available every year, or is this a one-time
no,
program?
this was for the stimulus funds, the ARA
Okay.
funds, so it was a 3-year, and our grant ends on August 2nd. And what we did was supplement and add on to what the Energy Trust gives for incentives. We added another little incentive on top of it. We do still have some funds left, but we're estimating they'll probably run out about May or June.
The second part of that question regarding funding is the Office of Sustainability is a county office, as a county department or division, I don't know what you're called, division. And is that just funded out of the general fund of the county? Or?
No, the majority of our funds are from the solid waste franchise fees, and then the next biggest chunk is the Metro funds. We do all the education outreach for all of the cities within the county on waste reduction, waste prevention, solid waste issues, and so we receive the funds for the per capita funds and making sure that all the Metro requirements are met. We've gotten the energy money from the federal government. It's the first time we've really done energy, and the commissioners have given us a small, one chunk of general fund to help pay for our more broader sustainability efforts. We're hoping, that's one reason we're trying this with Energy Trust this year, is that they're going to give us a little batch of money to test this out and see if it would work to have local government partners to help continue educating the public and kind of be the feet on the ground to steer people the right way.
Well, I think it's great that you're willing to take it to the neighborhoods. I think speaking one-on-one with neighbors is a great idea. The second question had to do with something that you said, something about helping homeowners ascertain the value of the various things that could be done to improve the energy efficiency of their home. I remember reading an article that talked about the cost effectiveness, actually the return on investment of improvements made to a home, whether it's more effective to paint the outside of your house or to improve your bathroom. And I'm talking about specifically for resale value. And I don't know if you folks are touching that at all, but I think that homeowners, particularly when they make an investment in their home, they are often thinking not just in how much energy it's going to save them, and that's sort of a return, but also what the added value to their home could be for resale.
Discussion right now, it's been being tested up in Washington, but in other parts of the country, but having an energy efficiency score, EPS score is what an energy performance score on homes, and it could be voluntary now, but some jurisdictions are requiring that before a home is sold. So at the time of sale, you would have a score as to how energy efficient that home is compared to another house that you're looking at buying. So it would help you, instead of the initial cost, you could see kind of the ongoing
And
maintenance
imagine that would
costs,
be balanced on the age of the home, too,
yeah.
eh?
And that, I don't know that that's going to, it's probably going to be something voluntary that'll start in, and it'll be kind of like a selling point. If you know you've done some good work, you can start advertising, and then people will start asking for those scores.
Thank you.
Kathy Hogan.
Okay, so first then, the claim sheet, so if we announce this at our next meeting, which is in May, so the other one isn't going to be affected, and they took your phone number, then they can organize a group,
Yes.
the members,
Yes.
and you do that at the...
Wherever you want us to come.
Or they can do it at the offices? You have
We could
a-
probably do it at our office, or we could come out to wherever somebody wanted. If somebody wanted to host one in their home, but, wherever you have your meetings normally.
Okay.
yeah.
Well, and the other thing, it almost would be nice if they had somebody that could come in, because I have a homeowner that's trying to sell their house, and they found out the builder didn't, for all the inspectors and the money going out, did not do the
Inspection.
heat pump. They put the heat pump right next to the dryer vent. Don't work.
What we find is often it'll be insulation upside down underneath the house, things like that, because the inspectors, when they
Don't
go
go.
inspect a house, they're looking for life safety issues, and they aren't paying that much attention to some of the energy issues. So,
Well, and the other issue is like with attic space.
Insulation? Yep.
There's no vent going out of that attic, and they got mold.
Yeah. We've had some people, there's a Savings Within Reach program that's fairly new at Energy Trust for people that are above the low-income weatherization, but I think it's at a 200 to 250% of poverty level, but they have a higher incentive from Energy Trust, and then we were matching it so they could get, so a lot of people got almost everything paid for on that, and we had people calling up in tears because they were so cold the past few winters, but they didn't have any money to do anything with their house. And these contractors would come in, and the contractors on that program are paid directly by Energy Trust and the money from the county, so the homeowner didn't have to put the upfront money. But, air sealing all the leaks and getting insulation in where they never had any and making it much more livable.
Well, it's kind of a shame that the contractors can't do their due diligence, and
Okay.
the inspectors.
All righty, next, Tom O'Brien.
Just a comment. I know that you work, or Energy Trust works with a select group of contractors. When I attempted to find a more energy-efficient hot water heater, while they are available in the marketplace, they are not available in the Portland, Oregon area. I had to special order one in from outside the area. None of the major distributors carry them. Most of the contractors I talked to didn't even know they existed.
What kind was it? Do you know
I
the
ended
name?
up getting I don't remember the efficiency rating or the brand at this point, but it was very difficult. I wanted something that was even a higher energy efficiency than what I ended up with. I think what I got was an A.O. Smith unit, but the contractors
Maybe
just don't want to do it.
Interesting, because
I
Energy
was-
Trust works a lot with, they like to do a lot of the short-term, like during the month of May, you get this special deal out quickly, and so they'll work a lot with, like, pick a dealer, A-Boy or whomever, and try and sell through them and just encourage people, give a special rebate for a month or two. But
The other thing that I came across in improving things was that as window manufacturers, and I probably shouldn't mention a specific company, but the folks here in town were offering triple pane for the price of double pane on replacement windows, which is a pretty good energy savings.
yeah, the triple pane, a lot of they always tell you that windows are more like the fifth in a row of what you should look at, but the triple pane are the ones they're going with. The other thing on the Energy Trust incentives, they like to see a return of investment of about a 7 or 8 years. So that might be why on your more efficient water heater that they weren't giving, selling them out
Well,
here.
Energy Trust was okay with it. It's just you couldn't find
They
any
don't have
anywhere.
enough of a market for it. Yeah,
But, it's-
interesting.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay, so give us a call. I'm going to leave these in the back if you want to find the list for other speaker subjects we can help you out with.
Thank you very much. Darn it, that discussion went on 3 more minutes longer than what I had planned, because I was going to make the comment that let's get the meeting over before Paul gets here and surprise him, and all the lights would be turned off and Paul would get here. But it looks like the Urban Renewal meeting has...
Sounds like a TAC meeting.
The meeting has concluded, obviously. We have the chair, Brian Shaw, excuse me, because I was looking at Paul all the time. Paul's here. Commissioner Rocky, thank you. Welcome.
Commissioner Rocky.
Well, he is back there. Commissioner Smith, same thing. Seriously, if we can make sure this tonight, we can keep our comments to questions, and maybe we can get through the meeting before 11 tonight, so that would be great. I saw David Knoll do a presentation to the City Commission last week and asked him to be here tonight, not to make the same presentation he made last week, but to kind of give us an idea of something we can take back to our neighborhoods and advise them. So next up for 15 minutes is David Knoll.
Thank you. My name is David Knoll. I'm the IT supervisor here at Oregon City, and happy to be before the CIC again. It's been a while, but happy to present on anything that is of interest to you. And so I did do a presentation last week on our OC Request, which is our citizen request tool. And we've had this available for about a year, but realized last week that we may not have promoted this as much as we could have to those who might use it the most, mainly the citizens. And so wanted to take advantage of the opportunity to come forward and give you a little reminder of what the tool is, very briefly, but mainly focus on your questions and any kind of a demo on using this tool on the web or on your smartphone. So I have a couple of slides that I'll go through, and then very casually just answer any questions and do a demo. So OC Request has a couple of intents. Basically, it's to log complaints, requests, things that you see in the field or in the street to the city so that we can repair them. And there's 4 main ways that we can log these in: through the web, over a smartphone, in person, or over the phone. The traditional phone method. So this is a screenshot of 2 of the ways that you can log an event in, and you can see that there's a category that relates to the department. So if you noticed a pothole and wanted to log that in, that would go directly to the appropriate Public Works Department to fix that. Same with an abandoned car, that would go to code enforcement, etc. The intent of OC Request is to sort of streamline the resolution and feedback process between what you're the city's eyes in the field. So whatever you notice, bring to our attention, and we'll take care of that problem and make sure that you are informed of that response that we've done on that. We also wanted to allow the public a way to log in themselves and track a complaint or a request that has been logged in, so that when you log an event in, it'll give you a tracking number that you can go online and see what the status is of that request at any time. And of course, different reporting methods here in the city that we can use to hopefully use our resources more wisely. A couple of the features that you'll see on the web page here, when you type an address in to the problem location field, it will automatically generate a point on a map, and you can either accept that point or move it to a more specific location. So these are georeference locations that we can then plot out later. And I did have Tom wanted to see a map of maybe where all these requests have fallen in the cities and within your various neighborhood districts. I have a small demo of that, but there's probably specific maps that we could produce that will be more useful than an overall view of the city that you'll see tonight. And you can also attach photos or documentation as you see fit, which are particularly helpful for potholes.
But you can't take the picture and then attach it. You have to take the picture in the process.
If you are on your phone, you can take the picture during the process of logging this event in.
I think you have to.
Yes.
You can't choose one from your photo album.
Ah, okay.
Because I took a picture and then I wanted to report something.
And you can't go back and track
You can't go
that.
back and take that picture. You can't take that picture out of your album. You have to take one while you're in the middle of the process.
Okay, well, there's always room for
if you're-
improvement then.
So
Thanks
if you're
for-
driving, like on Holcomb, there's a huge pothole right now, and you're driving, do you have to go like that outside your window like you're driving by?
Well, maybe that would be an appropriate use of taking a picture, then going home and logging it in to your
It would be nice if
machine.
you could do that.
Well, if you are on your PC at home, you can attach a photo that you already have taken previously. If you're on your phone, it's a little more designed to do it interactively.
Okay.
So once you've taken, once you've logged an issue in, you'll get an email that signifies that we've received that. You can then pull up your logged event with your picture that you've taken, and any changes on that. The city, if we've closed it or added a comment or asked for more information, you'll be notified of that via email. So this is an example of a closed request. If you got an email that your event has been closed, you'll click on the link. It would pull up this picture of your problem, and it indicates that you've logged in. There's a drainage problem here, and it's been closed. We've fixed the problem. You can add more information to this if you wish, but hopefully after it's closed, the problem is fixed. And then at the end of that process, there's a survey that you can fill out so that we can hopefully tailor our work resources with what you experience during this process. We try to solve these as they come in the order that they come in as best as we can. And so we'd really like to hear your feedback on how we're doing with that.
It's not on the mobile, though. The mobile app doesn't have this, I don't think, does it?
I'll have to check. I don't know. Offhand.
Yeah.
It is on the website, yes.
Can I ask a brief
yes, go
question
ahead.
before you continue? How many here on this committee and have used this or heard about it before or used it? So good, because I figured there might be a few people who hadn't heard about it, and this might be a good way to take it back to your neighborhood. That's good. Continue. I just wanted to see how many had used it yet.
Well, I'm glad to hear that it's been used. So please continue to do that. This is about the end of my slides. At this point, I wanted to go ahead and show the smartphone application if you want to.
Does everybody have their
see
phones
that.
out?
Ready.
Maybe more productive at this point is to go through a website submission, and I can help you through any kind of a smartphone installation at the end of that if you want to talk with that specifically. So based on last committee's presentation, I did log in I did create a new logo and design for the OC request. So it's a cone with that sort of stands out a little bit more prominently than it has in the past. Along the upper right-hand side of our web page,
isn't
you
that
have some
cute?
icons here. And
Isn't that-
this right-hand one here,
darling.
the cone, is OC request. And by clicking on that, you'll go to the OC request
I thought it was a
page.
hat.
Scroll down.
If you didn't know that was there, where else would you find it in the menu?
Right now, it's prominent on the homepage.
Yeah, on the homepage itself, I've promoted this so that it does appear lower down on the website as an article and as a news item. So it will be
Something that's turning over, flashing up.
I probably will do that after this meeting. It's down lower on the featured
I
articles.
think she's asking, is there a
Right there.
drop down from one of these top menus?
Oh yes, of course, under the online services.
Of course.
But I
For
like
OC
that,
request.
tell me it's flooded since I could see it going over the bridge. Now, will it tell me when it's not, so that I could go down there and walk it?
I'm sorry, when
It
the
says Clackamas Park is closed.
Well, I don't
So
think this is
how-
a notification to everybody in the city. This is more if you see a problem.
Oh,
No, she's just talking about the.
no,
Yeah.
you have it, it is closed.
On the front
yes.
of the website,
Ignore
yes,
that.
and there will be something then that says that it's open.
Yeah, it is open.
I was talking about his presentation, not
Right.
about
Yeah, but it's still the same, it's giving you information.
We have
Call the
a
city
number
about
of
that.
ways that we hopefully can inform everybody about what's happening in the public. These articles are one that scroll through, and then this OC request is the other,
You might be able to get a duck bidder.
hopefully more prominent icon that you can find the request tool that we're talking about tonight. Does that answer your question?
Back to your.
Clackamas Park is closed.
Now he's only got 5 minutes left.
Too much humor.
Well, the process of logging in a request is fairly straightforward. All you need to do is identify what your category is and select that from the drop-down list.
Put it all under other.
Based on that department, it will send that request to the correct department, whether it be Public Works or whatever. So the intro page brings you to essentially a frequently asked questions page. And you can either search to find a topic. These are the most requested dynamically. So we've had a couple of nuisance requests. Other miscellaneous are very popular. And code enforcement, abandoned vehicle, et cetera. So these are the most popular items that are coming in.
Then on the nuisance, then would that be, like our neighborhood has people going and starting campfires in their park? So that would be more than a nuisance?
There are some subcategories. Nuisance is, in this case, this nuisance is directed to code enforcement, but there are some subcategories that might help specifically define what kind of a nuisance it is. For instance, we had a couple logged in that were barking dogs, and those were logged in as other miscellaneous. So we just created a new category for barking dogs.
David, one of the things I brought up to you, and why she's speaking about that, maybe you can make it distinguished for everyone. There's a time to use this and a time when you call the police department. There should be a fine line, maybe? I don't know.
Yes. The police have specifically requested that any life-threatening emergency or any police activity at all, please call them, either 911 or the non-emergency dispatch, and that's listed in bold right at the top of the page here. So police
a fire
activity
could be a non-emergency, especially if it was dry or something.
Yes. These are mainly aimed, the OC requests are aimed at fix-it problems, things that are bothersome and fall under the city's purview to fix or address in some way or another.
More ongoing.
Non-critical emergency, yes. There is a traffic accident. You can report a traffic accident if you'd like to do that.
Thank
You
you.
can report a traffic accident?
You can.
Why?
Why would you?
Because we're trying to keep the police away.
That might work.
Well, and that's something we've gone back and forth about, with the police on is what kind of categories do you want to have available that go to, you or another department, or which get called in to the emergency dispatch or 911.
I mean, I'm just thinking, if somebody were to do that and report a traffic accident, and say it's a Friday night, nobody's going to see that till Monday. Right?
We can send them all to your home, Chris.
Wrong city.
Well, let's look at the traffic. I may be mistaken about reporting traffic accidents. We've had a lot of conversations about what kinds of categories to log in.
Radar trailer, that's good. Parking, good. Speeders, that's good. Those
Traffic
are things
safety.
that
Yeah,
can wait till Monday.
right.
Yeah.
So not a traffic.
So there are no
So not
traffic
traffic
accidents in here.
You need to have one that says forward email to Chris.
Thanks, Paul.
So in any event, as you're going through here, if it's not a traffic accident, you can select your category and log this in. I'm going to put down an other category simply because that gets filtered through through me, and I can treat this as a test.
I would imagine that any traffic accident, if it's severe enough that someone's going to call 911 anyway, but if it's just minor traffic infractions, I guess that's the kind of stuff you were referring
David,
to.
sorry.
We've taken traffic accidents
Yeah.
off just for that reason. Yeah.
Sorry you mentioned it.
I need to hang out with the police more, apparently.
They're a
I
fun
get told
bunch.
what to do a lot, but
They're a fun bunch.
They'll keep you laughing.
Laugh a minute, guys, yeah.
So as you can see, you can type in an address here, and it'll pull up a map. You can attach a photo that will then get logged with the event, a description of your problem or issue.
Is it loading the map now?
Yes.
Oh, it takes a while.
It's only the speed of light, right? It's only the
But you have to
fastest
tell it
thing
what
in the
you have to tell
universe.
what city it's looking in Missoula, Montana.
Right.
It's the only.
It says Tom Giles right there.
Right. Trouble. There's trouble.
Yeah.
Isn't that cute?
Nobody's in the parking lot, all our cars.
Can you
Notice
move
the
that
pin
pin?
is on Paul Edgar.
Yes. So if this isn't exactly located, if it, for instance, happened across the street, you could then move it across the street, and it would then change the address, at least range, to that approximate location. And down below here, you can enter your contact information if you would like to be in the loop, if you'd like to follow up on this and get emailed about your request. You can also submit a request anonymously if you wish. And I'm just going to go ahead and do that. It will come to the city, but I won't be able to contact this customer. We value our relationship with you, but without a phone number or an email address, we cannot contact you or follow up. But you're welcome to submit an anonymous if you wish.
Pretty good. It's friendly.
David, but wouldn't you have the URL where it's coming from?
We have there's IP addresses that we can track, but this is, there's for certain code enforcement complaints, for instance, you don't want to have, some people don't want to be called out individually, so they want to submit things anonymously, so we want to be able to accommodate that.
Whistleblowers.
But we're finding that for the most part, people who submit these requests do want to be in the loop. So you want to be part of the solution, and you want to be part of that
You want to know if
feedback.
it got resolved.
Yeah. So I get a confirmation that this has been submitted, and sure enough, as an employee, I see this on my email and note that it's been submitted to me, and I can then go ahead and go in and close that request.
Yeah. Well, that's not the city's problem. That's a Google Map issue.
So I can't do a live demo of the cell phone, but I'd be happy to walk through some of the steps that are needed to download the app. This is an available app on Android and iPhones, and I see it live there. So if you go to the Play Store or the iPhone Store and query Go Request, one word, you'll see the application.
Yeah, it's important that it's not OC Request. It's Go Request is the name of the app.
It's not OC request until it figures out your GPS is in OC.
Yes.
That's correct. And it will it'll remind you if you don't have your GPS turned on that's going to be an easier way to log a point. So when you download the application, the first thing that comes up is a screen that asks you, would you like to log a new request in or track an existing request? So in the case of a new request, you hit that button, and a screen would come up that then gives you the same choice as exists on the website. A list of categories. In this case, overgrown weeds, graffiti, abandoned vehicle, or other. There's a number that are available, and those get routed to the correct department. This is an example of 4 that I've logged in. This one of graffiti. Once you've logged that in and taken a picture, submit it, you'll be provided with a request number, in this case 429, and you can go back to your phone and track that issue 429, or go to the website and track that same issue 429. When we've opened this request at the city and taken care of it or updated it in any way, you'll be notified with this big red 2 that 2 issues of yours have been updated, and you can then go in and see if they're closed or updated at that point. So it's a very simple app, but it does very simple things. It logs a new request in, and it tracks existing requests that you have. You can attach a photo, direct it to the right category, the right department, put a description, put your contact information there to follow up on. So,
There was 2 questions
Answer
before
questions.
yours, Paul.
Okay.
Kathy, I think, was up first. Did you get yours answered a while back?
No, but this is actually something else. I'm trying
This
to
is
get
about
onto-
the phones right now.
Yeah, no, but it's trying to get onto this website, and if you don't have an updated machine, just like I'm trying to go into the Oregon City website to get archives. So is it going to be hard since I can't get the archives, I can't get it updated or downloaded?
There's no plugins or anything that's required to use
So
this
this is
tool.
this, okay.
Okay.
This one is just.
Her Atari has
It's an updated browser.
You can come and use my computer if you want to.
Okay.
Tom's next. And then Paul, and then.
I'm going to yield the floor here because she doesn't come up on your screen.
Did she have her hand up before you? Because Paul is also first up, so Paul first then.
Okay, well, whatever.
Okay.
I'll get my turn.
Okay.
I think that this is very, very important, and I think we should take it out to our neighbors, and it would be great, in particularly to a neighborhood meeting, where if we could get a presentation and get many of the neighbors understanding this right in the neighborhood and getting it up onto their computers or getting it up onto their smartphones, this saves us money. This saves the city, and it's really an efficiency thing. And I made a comment. I applaud this effort. I think it's a very, very smart thing for the city and for all of us, and it literally puts everything into the queue, and it creates a resolutional a condition where resolution has to be identified. Wow, we can't argue with that. And so I think we should literally have this as part of our neighborhood meetings and have just even a work session so that everybody becomes comfortable with it.
And Paul, that's what I preface this with, is that's why I asked him here, so all these people could take it back to their neighborhoods. So I concur with you, and that's exactly why he's here. Alice?
I wanted clarification, David, on once you have it in there and it's got an assigned number, does anybody have access to that besides the person who made the complaint? I mean, any other citizen?
So they could
See that you made the complaint.
Do you retain your private
No,
privacy,
we
right?
have not enabled this to be a publicly available, who's logged what requests in where. We might, we've talked about doing some crime mapping and other kinds of mapping, but I don't think it's going to be a live process where we can see each other's requests at this point. One of the advantages that Paul brought up was that we can group these things together as a city and combine our resources. So if we get 5 requests for the same thing, that's okay. We'll take care of it once. So don't be afraid to log things in more than once. That's not a problem for us.
But that was a question too. Is there the tracking? Like you can see sometimes how many hits something got. Would that be like a trackable thing? Like this had 15 responses in a weekend, something like that, or since the problem started, there's been this many for that particular incident.
Yes. Well, each request, if it's logged in separately, will be tracked separately. But if we get 10 requests for the same pothole, we know that we have gone and responded to that particular pothole. And all 10 of those requests are affected by that response.
And so that's kind of but that could be public knowledge as far as that, like that particular time did have like 15 incidences. That would be a requestable information?
Yeah, I think we're at that point now where we can start talking about making, this stuff a little more public. What is this response? How effective are we being? And that was one of the things that I brought before the commission last week, which was we are being effective. Now it's maybe, a good time to look at promoting that response.
Sure, and another question too is a lot of people maybe that are use telephones. They have a hard time with a computer. Is that something that the city could add into maybe like a water bill or something that would have a little attachment in a city mailing?
Tell people about this program? Good idea.
Yep. Yeah, thank you.
There's a lot of little statements in those.
Good idea. Take a note.
That's why I tell them some publicity, get it out to the Oregon City News.
Yeah.
I had suggested last week, anything, let more people know about it. One of the things I'd asked David was, he referred to it earlier, was by neighborhood area, so maybe some of us could find out, well, we had several calls in our neighborhood, and if they're not using it, then other people, you can go back and say, this is available to our neighborhood, you've got to start using it. Anyway, Tommy, you're still on here.
Yes. I would like to thank David publicly for the fine job that he's done on
Yeah.
this.
Thank you. It
I
is a
had an
citywide effort.
opportunity to use it a month after it went live to report an axle-deep pothole on Central Point, and before I could get a response back, the pothole had been filled. It was quick. It was within 2 days. I was back through that same area, and I looked, that is unbelievable response on the part of Public Works.
So
So,
is that typical
just-
response time then?
With what Nancy?
Well, I don't know as it gets more used, whether that will be a typical
Somebody had
response
sent it in
time,
2
but
weeks
I was blown
beforehand.
away. I'm used to sending notices to the state or the county relative to potholes, and you're lucky if it's heard in the same century.
Okay.
Well, if I can respond briefly to that, we were actually very surprised by how quickly we were able to get to these things. One of the fears of having this tool available, which was we're going to be inundated by requests and not be able to respond, things are going to sit in the queue forever. We get 55% of these requests solved and closed within 2 days, and 75 within 4 days. So there are the remainder that just by the natural workflow take longer. There's some code enforcement issues and public works issues that just take longer. They're in the system. They're in progress. But overall, it gives us a way to track things and be accountable for what the
You've just done a
citizens
great
are
job.
putting in.
Thank you.
I got,
Chris, did you have something to insert?
Have you promoted this on Trail News?
I think we did when it
Once,
first came out,
yeah.
and it's worthy of doing again. It's any tool that helps the citizens and us.
Particularly now that you have
let's
the
keep
logo
doing
with
that.
the cone.
Yeah.
And also, there's a lot more people with these smartphones than there was a year ago.
1 second, Paul, because William had his name up here. He's anxious.
David, yeah, I concur with Tom. The response is fantastic. I reported a dead cat on my walk, and it was next morning it was gone. It was very fast. Ever conscious of costs, I'm just wondering, and Paul indicated that this is saving the city money. Is there any way of quantifying how much this program cost versus our projected savings, or when do we get an ROI on this? Or I'm not asking you how much this cost, but I'm sure we could find that out.
I guess it would depend on how we define what our savings were, and maybe response time. I'm not sure how we would quantify.
Well, I don't know how much it cost us to implement this, and Paul indicated that this is saving the city money, and I'm wondering, how is this saving the city? It's certainly giving us a lot of satisfaction.
I think in launching applications, one of the biggest benefits is saving staff time.
Staff time.
If we don't have 4 people running after the same issue, trying to track each other down, trying to track the solution down, if we know all 4 of those people can go to that request and see the action that's taking place, that's a time savings and an efficiency right there. I'm not sure how you'd quantify it other than 15 minutes of staff time and half an hour of staff time.
And they're not being interrupted throughout the whole day with phone calls.
Yeah, there's some savings there, too.
You may build expectations so high that once this gets out to all the neighborhoods, you may get inundated, and all this finally it'll go 3 or 4 days. Be careful.
I invite more requests to come in. So far, the number of them have not been a problem. So I would welcome more so that we can make sure that we're taking care of everybody's needs.
I mean, on that, like, South End had another accident and hit the fence, but not the concrete blocks this time. They just went down farther. So, like, if it's a traffic issue and then signs need to be there, now they are, but before, if they weren't there, they could go there and say, the speed, or there's not a sign saying slow down, only go 20 or 35 around this corner. Would that be something they would put into that too?
It's not a life-threatening emergency in that case. If somebody drove by and logged that into the system, it would go directly to Public Works, and they would call the crews to go out and take care of that, or whatever work process is the right way to take care of it.
Yeah. Okay.
That's a half an hour.
One last thing. If at events, if there could be you or some emissary that could go there, like we're going to have a party for Kenema, opening up Kenema Children's Park. and it's all of a sudden you have a little tent set off to the side where somebody can come in, and we have, let's say we have 200 or 300 people there from Oregon City.
A city info booth is what you're talking about.
And it's just, and so whenever we have these gatherings, we show up and help educate. We help get this thought across, and opportunity across. And to me, it's like what Michael said, sending out a mailing. Everything we can do to try to build up this is the vehicle of choice that's smartest for the city as a way for us to handle and process these types of complaints or opportunities.
Okay. There goes the savings in David's overtime.
Well, I'm happy to participate, and thank you for allowing me to have some time here tonight.
Actually, there are a lot of events, as Paul's referring to, including the Pioneer Festival. We're just in the city info booth. Might be a good idea sometime to consider just what's going on in the city. And I know we try to do one for the CIC, but maybe a combined booth where the city also puts out information, too. Might be an idea.
Concerts in the park.
Concerts in the park?
Yeah. Might be something for us to think about collaborating with the city. Since the CIC tries to do something. Thank you very much for being here, David. Appreciate your help.
You're welcome.
National Night Out.
Let's go right away to approval of the minutes.
Well, got them out early again.
I have
I hope
Okay,
you all
one
have
second.
questions.
a change, yeah.
All right.
The very last page, I was reporting on bingo night, and it's actually April the 28th.
April 28th. Thank you very much.
That's why I couldn't find anybody there.
You could have still left your money. Give it to Claire.
I did
With that correction, can we get a motion to approve these? Anybody?
I move.
Okay, Steve, thank you. Steve and Kathy, thank you.
Okay. All those in favor of approving the minutes, say aye.
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 Forgot the next thing. All those not in favor. See, yeah, and say, all those abstaining. Okay.
What? How many abstentions?
Was that an abstain?
That was an abstain.
Okay.
How many abstentions do we have?
I think I heard one. Was there another one?
Two.
Two abstentions. Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Actually, I have to abstain because I wasn't here last time.
Okay. Oh, so there's three.
Actually, Robert's rules say that you can vote even though you weren't at the meeting. You don't have to be at the meeting to approve the minutes.
Okay, then, but I don't know what went on at the meeting, so I can't approve the minutes.
Yeah, you could watch it. Yeah.
Okay, I'm in favor.
Okay. With that being said, let's move on. Old business, proposed changes to Clackamas Park.
I do have some news, even though I told William I didn't. Scott Apple with the Army Corps of Engineers informed me that the park was flooded. Therefore, he didn't make our meeting. And the CIC Council is going to have an executive meeting in the next week to...
What council?
Did I say CIC? The Caulfield Neighborhood.
Oh, okay.
Is going to have a meeting to discuss it further. And the thing that's holding us up right now is we've got to get the documentation from the state for the procedure to put it through and how you're going to be able to obtain the permit to use the park.
Could they put that above flood level? That would be like how many stories? Okay.
Great.
Thanks for the update. I'm not sure why new business is before I asked OCPW, because Nancy usually goes right after guest speakers. But is there any new business at this point? Yes, Paul?
I have, as CIC Land Use Chair in downtown, have been involved in trying to help identify the problem and opportunities associated with disabled access in downtown Oregon City. They have been removing disabled parking spots in downtown Oregon City. They have decided to change the parking meter methodologies in Oregon City, whereas in any other city in the metro area in Oregon, if you are disabled, you can park at a metered site if you've got a placard, and it's free. But in Oregon City, we decided to change that and now ticket everybody that has placards that come into Oregon City. Many of them come to the courthouse without the knowledge that that is because all that what we're doing, whereas in every other city in Oregon, they have that privilege. And so it's creating a problem, and the problem can be converted into an opportunity. And we have, in vetting this around with other people, trying to get a feeling and understanding about it, some of the people have identified public there with the disabled access requirements for public buildings. There are certain requirements that are out there for providing access to public buildings, and we have some down there like the courthouse. And when people with disabilities can't get access to a public building, and there's literally one disabled parking spot in front of the courthouse, and virtually everything else all the way down the street have been removed, or are being removed, or in plan to be removed. And so what is happening is that it's creating quite a bit of problems and very, very negative comment by a lot of people about Oregon City. And in the idea of that any negative comment about Oregon City by the general public is not really positive. It should be, we should try to do everything we can. It's not good for any business in downtown. It's, you know, Michael could speak to it in his environment, but when the word goes out that that Oregon City does not understand or treat or consider the problems of the handicapped or disabled fairly in relationship to any other city in our metro area in Oregon, that's negative.
Okay, Paul.
And so I've been active at it. I just wanted to let people know that I felt like that it was the charge of being the land use chair of the of that area, and somebody should try to do it. And so I was attempting to try to be active at it, and I would love to have comments from others to say, should I continue doing this, or what is the charge of the CIC?
Okay, Paul. I know we had Nancy Bush here, was it last month or the month before?
Month before.
To discuss this, and she had informed us all. I mean, I'm with you on that. But she had said that even Portland's looking at withdrawing some of those. But I'm wondering, before you say anything, I'm just wondering, isn't there a committee for land use that you have you worked with your land use committee at all to put this together and maybe make another presentation to the city?
I would like, if our land use group would like to come together, these things are happening. I've attended each of the presentations put on by Nancy Bush, and I've listened to all of the comments coming in from all the people that attended the meetings, and I've done the research on what happened with the city of Portland, and in particularly areas where the disabled and the military people that have come down, they simply and very effectively explained to Mayor Adams in Portland that this was not acceptable, and it's been totally taken off the agenda for consideration in the city of Portland, no matter what has been said, and no other city in Metro is doing this. So we are the only one.
Okay, so this doesn't drag on. My only suggestion would be then to maybe, I'm not sure how often the Land Use Committee gets together, but get together with everyone. And bring it back to either the CIC or take it to the City Council and say this is what the Land Use Committee feels about what's going on. But there's nothing I don't think that we can do as a group right now, since Nancy has stated what the policy of Oregon City is. So I think your best move is to strategize with your land use committee. What's our approach? How do we talk to the city about that? You know what I'm saying?
If that's the choice, that's the reason why I'm bringing it up right now.
I'm open to comments here to what he's saying. I mean, there's not a lot we can do to convince the city or Nancy if that's the code of the city. So I think the land use committee, or we need to give them direction, look into it, and talk to the city about it. I'm not sure what else. Anybody else have any comments? I'm at a loss here because.
Well, I think taking it to the land use committee and working, we can bring it up at every meeting, but until there's some effectual behind-the-scenes meetings, I guess, and we have some consensus, especially with the downtown neighborhood people. The downtown area is obviously very aware of it, and we've seen it, and we know that there's not a parking shortage in Oregon City. There's an available parking shortage in Oregon City with all the permit parking and private lots. And so maybe not to burn up minutes tonight, but we should get together as a downtown area and with your land use, and then we can come back to the CIC for an affirmation from the CIC.
Does that work? I mean, any other comments?
Yeah, I had one. Well, maybe there's some way of getting a study or an opinion, or giving somebody the facts and then having them finding out how many people want the changes.
Well, if this falls under land use committee, then that's something they should do.
That's something they should do then.
And call the group together and have a meeting to discuss it, where you want to take it. And then bring it back here, because I don't think there's anything we can do without some kind of presentation. This is what the facts are. This is what's happened in Portland.
Or how many complaints are there? I mean, if we had a great big list of people that are complaining and are not happy with the way the parking is.
Does that work, Paul, to call them together and say, because you can't do this all alone.
No, I don't want to.
And you should work with that committee and get them to come either here or to the city commission. But if you came here with it and then say, do we support? Maybe we can get a show of support to take it to the city. I'm not sure. We don't have that much authority, I don't think, to tell the city about their parking. But it should be discussed, I guess, amongst your committee. Since you're approaching it, the only reason I'm saying that is you're approaching it as land use committee, so it should probably be a combination of all those on there coming up with a reasonable approach.
There might be a question as to whether or not this is a land use issue and whether this is a neighborhood issue, or whether it's just a city issue.
And that's why I'm confused.
Well, it's primarily in downtown Oregon City. Mm-hmm. So, CIC is the land use entity in downtown.
But does that have to do with land use? I mean, code, land use? Land use is more use. It's a parking policy.
You're right. It's not land use.
So, please
help.
help.
I believe that the city manager and Chief Conrad and Nancy Bush were holding a series of meetings with the downtown. And I haven't attended those, but I do know they're ongoing, and the effort there is to work with the downtown and to find out, better understand what the problems are. Because also, if we set aside too many spaces for people with disabilities, then we'll get complaints about there's none in the parking downtown. So there's really a lot of, it's complicated, and I think for now, I think they're working on it. And so I would say go do good work and then report back, perhaps.
Then can I ask, when are the meetings? Are they being advertised, and where are they at?
Can the public attend?
Why not?
They've had 2 meetings. There's no more meetings being scheduled on it. I have statistically gathered the information that's there, and I have a letter from Nancy Bush explaining to what her opinions are, and what she says is the inventory of spots, and but there aren't any more discussions.
I think that letter was the policy, the existing policy, and I think they're meeting, and there could be some changes. We're also still under complete construction downtown.
Thank you, Brian. Sure.
And we haven't installed the new meters on all the blocks. We're going to change the way parking is done to maximize the spaces by not having ticks at every spot, so you can squeeze in as many cars as you can. So I think that really it's kind of like we're in the process of looking at it and understanding, and then figuring out where does it make most sense to have spaces that are specifically for people with disabilities. So I think it's just we have to wait for some process.
Right. So this Do I gather
And
from
we
what
could
you're
ask
saying that this
Nancy to come
isn't...
back in 6 months or something and report back.
Do I gather what you're saying, that this isn't really a land use, so our land use committee shouldn't really be involved?
Well,
As more of an individual?
It's not a land
Paul?
use application.
So our land use committee really has no business with it?
Well,
It's more
I don't- not to say
individual?
that.
I don't know.
If anything, we should have an ad hoc committee rather than a land use committee.
Ad hoc committee of,
You could have an,
regarding parking?
you could do that?
How many people in here feel that having an ad hoc committee and having representatives go to those meetings is of importance to them on this CIC? I mean, Paul's been going to those meetings. Do we want to create an ad hoc committee that looks into this and at least is able to voice an opinion to the group that's doing that? I saw your...
I think that's important because I think we're representing the citizens, and I think that it's nice for citizens to be involved in some of those instead of just the people. I mean, even if you can just go and listen and give your input.
Listening's important.
I think it's
Ingrid, would you be willing to join with Paul and one other person to keep this committee small? One other person just to listen and to...
Well, Mike is the
communicate?
downtown representative for the
Downtown.
CIC, right?
Which made me think, when you mentioned that a minute ago, thanks, when you say the downtown is involved, who of downtown's involved? Is it the Main Street program? Is the downtown merchants? I mean,
I think
what do you
they're
mean by
trying to
that?
engage as many people that are interested in.
Okay. So it's open to all the businesses at this point. Mike, would you mind being a part with Ingrid and Paul just to follow up on that and keep us informed? Or
I'd love to.
Okay.
So this is an ad hoc.
Ad hoc. You
Okay, we
said
have
the word
created-
ad hoc.
We've created an ad hoc parking committee, and who's the chair?
Let's let those three get together and decide.
Well, the CIC chair appoints the chair.
A chair?
Of an ad hoc committee. That's your responsibility.
I don't like that.
That's what Robert's rules say.
Mike, are you willing to be the chair of that, or do you have enough on
I'll
your
have to
plate?
sit with more.
Pardon?
I have to sit with different kind of posture now, I guess. But yeah.
Okay, so Mike's the chair, and you've got two committee members, unless anybody else at some point decides they want to join in on that. We've got a lot of other committees going, not a lot, but don't want to overwhelm anybody. Okay, so you got that recorded?
Yep.
Okay, so that's the close of new business. Now going into Ask OCPW. I want to be the first to clap and applaud at this meeting for a great job of communications out to the public. I saw it on every news channel, saw it on the newspapers, Oregonian. You guys did a great job of getting the word out.
Nancy,
Jug
we
handle.
like a pedestal. Could you stand
For
on
the jug handle. Great job.
I was out of town.
Yes. So I wanted to thank the public, and I wanted to thank Clackamas Fire District and Oregon City Police Department, in addition to ODOT and Clackamas County Transportation. There were many, many people involved in the response, and AMR, Bud's Towing. Everybody was ready, prepared for this event, and I wanted to say a special thank you to Larry Hanlon for bringing us really good nachos one day. we were down in the mobile command unit for the 4 days, and it was really handy being there because we could communicate with fire, PD, Bud's Towing. I mean, we took all the calls, and except for 911, and we were able to get people where they needed to be or clear the traffic for emergencies, whatever. Adjust traffic signals. The entire weekend we were adjusting traffic signals and moving flaggers around to kind of try to adjust to changes in the traffic. And but it was Sunday afternoon or Monday afternoon. When did Larry bring our nachos? The 4 days kind of blurred into each other after a while. But there comes Larry and his wife, and this was their second visit to us to come and just say hi. And there came these fabulous nachos with these really good chips, and that was lunch for everybody. So that was really super.
Well, Nancy, you have to thank, too, the camera guy that took the picture so you could see it sliding.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
yeah,
I
on
could
the phone, yeah.
we could all stay home
I saw that
and not have to be in the way.
Yeah. And I know that there was a tremendous amount of traffic on Molalla Avenue and 7th Street through the weekend, and I know that really annoyed a lot of people, but it's over.
And the news meeting gave you guys lots of kudos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but couldn't have done it without a whole big
That was for you and your whole team.
Beautiful job, everybody.
Your whole team. Great job.
Thanks.
Great emails, Chris.
And Alita from and Goodrich
When's the next
organized
one?
the whole thing. Oh.
Well, the weather helped.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
I
Thank
mean,
you,
what's
God.
up with that? If we did rain, 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 rain,
What?
and then 4 days of sun. It's great.
Twitter.
Okay, anything else?
No, we're pretty exhausted.
said yes.
We're just out filling potholes now.
Okay, I will bring up a question for you.
Okay. Yes,
Because it may
ask
impact
Peter.
other people. At the last city commission meeting, I brought up an issue impacting Trailview, having to do with all our water heaters. About 85% of all the homes in Trailview had their water heaters overflowing. The water pressure at the street was 140 on some homes, 90 I think was ours. And Nancy had somebody get in touch with me on the following Tuesday after you were finished with that project. And I was astounded, so was all our neighbors, to find out that as you come into Trailview on Winston Drive, all the homes on this side of Winston are on Oregon City water, and all the homes of ours are on Clackamas River water.
Right.
And so somebody, one of the neighbors whose safety committee in our neighborhood called Clackamas River water, and they said there was nothing that they could do, that it was our water heaters. And we're going, how could 85% of all the water heaters go at the same time? And he got no resolution to it. And I said, well, I'm going to be seeing Nancy tonight on behalf of all our HOA. I was going to ask also, is like Oak Tree Terrace, is that on city water? Or is that on Clackamas River?
Yes, Oak Tree Terrace is on city water. It's just that one little
Just
section.
our area is on
It's
that.
above a certain elevation.
Your edge of the world there.
Wow.
Picking on Utah.
No, not me. It was the other neighbors who first brought it up. Everybody had water running out of their garages in the last few months. So if this one person that they talked to at Clackamas River Water up there, since we're in the city limits, said there's nothing they can do, and we're responsible from it from the street to our house, yet 80 to 85% of them are experiencing problems. We weren't looking for payment. We were asking what could be done to
can
make
we
sure it
do?
doesn't happen again.
request.
But that's not an Oregon City
Well, I can
issue now.
contact, I'd be happy to contact Bob George. He's their main engineer, and I could have him get in touch with you. And
Is that
they-
caused by
I
too
think
much
they could
water
probably
pressure?
try to provide a little bit more information.
You need to put a pressure valve on the line
We
coming
all,
into the house.
they were all there, but they've all been blown up by something happened from December,
You do
January.
have to maintain those PRVs, so people, I mean, that's something maybe some people don't know to do.
But so almost all of them have been replaced at this point now, because we had to do something.
Ready to blow again.
And some of them are still overflowing because it already blew the water heaters. And I guess there's an overflow valve and some other things. But what I'm getting at here is that because we're in city limits, yet we're the only ones apparently on Clackamas River water, they wanted to go right to the board or go right to somebody, but they had no idea. They said, well, if we're in the city, who's going to help us with this problem? Again, not that we look for some money back. We're looking for what started this. How can we avoid it in the future? He said it was our responsibility. And we're going, we understand that, but for all of us to go at the same time, something must have happened. And because we're below a big water reservoir up in Barlow Crest, we thought, well, did they just fill it and it made more pressure? We don't know how that works. Did that all of a sudden in December put too much right in that area? Because then I also found out that if an annexation takes place, the water wouldn't come through Clackamas River, it would come through, so it wouldn't, river water, it wouldn't come through Trailview area, it would come down below into any new annexation, like, let's say, Kent Ziegler's 6.5. So we will always have that same water pressure, and we were wondering, will we ever be put on Oregon City water, or will we all be on Clackamas River water for eternity, I guess?
Well, right now we have a memorandum of understanding with Clackamas River Water for those water pressure zones, that one zone that's above a certain elevation that they've always serviced through their tank up above the Barlow Crest Reservoir, Hunter Heights Reservoir. So you're at an elevation that we can't quite service with our reservoirs. So if for some reason someday there was a different organization between CRW and Oregon City, there could be a change, but for now, the existing agreement is that they serve your elevation.
All right.
But I would be happy to have Bob George contact you and try to give you a little more information.
And I only brought that up tonight because I was wondering, I didn't know if there was any other neighborhoods served by CRW, Clackamas River, water, other than ours, which is a pocket of Oregon City up there.
There are a couple of stray areas throughout the city that they still serve as customers, and then they also use our pipes to serve their customers way out on South End Road, past the city limits on South End Road. They use our pipes to serve their
How does
customers.
Clackamas River go way out there?
Well, they
I
have
mean, I can
customers
understand
out
it
there.
coming, up to
Yeah.
Barlow Crest, but it's pumped out that way or something?
They just use our system.
Okay.
We charge them.
It's outside of the
Yes,
city.
we do.
Okay.
Okay, move on.
Thank you. Okay, with that, let's go right to committee reports. Land Use Committee, I think we just kind of discussed that, right? Has there been any meetings of the Land Use Committee at all?
Just respond to what.
There's, okay.
Land use.
Is there?
Hasn't been much going on.
There hasn't been much going on, I understand that one.
I think they built a bridge or something.
Yeah. Okay. Under that, the next one is Bylaws Revision Committee. It's been a busy March. I was out of the country, out of the city also during that. But I have talked with all the members of that committee. We've set a date to start our discussions on some of this. And we've asked each of the people on the committee, from Mike to Alice to Kathy and Tom, to look into other neighborhoods' bylaws. And we kind of have a plan of just mainly right now looking to see what the commonalities are, and then see what, Chris had sent us a template that had been there for quite some time. Kathy Hogan also has some from back in 1998 and 2002. And we just want to see what currently is the commonalities of the bylaws, and then have a discussion of what should be. There's very little that needs to be except for, like membership, et cetera, and what other recommendations might there be. So it's nothing that's going to be established to anyone to, you got to do this or that. We're going to get together in a couple of weeks now. We've already got the date set and the time to discuss where we go from here. I see Tom's name is up here. Tom.
Yeah, I have a request I'd like to make of members of the CIC. There are, on the city website, quite a few of the current bylaws available. However, there are 4 that we don't have copies of. One is on the city's website, and it comes out under Barkley Hills as a DOCX document, but it is blank. And I don't think their bylaws are blank, if I'm reading
Which
Barkley Hills
neighborhood?
correctly.
Barkley Hills.
Also, another one that's on the website is the Tower Vista, and those are not bylaws. That's a sign-up sheet for one of their meetings.
That's close.
We don't have anything from Kanema, nor do we have anything from South End. So I would like some assistance from those neighborhoods to make sure we get copies of the appropriate current bylaws, so that we have something to work with as we're looking at this.
One of the other areas on here, I know I'm working with Mike. He's not been able to, he's trying to find a copy of the bylaws for his business district of downtown, and running into some
And I think we should have them on the website under the
Probably.
CIC neighborhoods.
And
We don't have a listing.
right now, he's been unavailable. He's
There
been
are no
unable to get them.
bylaws for Main Street.
Yeah, the Main Street, MSOC, the Main Street Oregon City has its own bylaws, but there's nothing that the city is going to do that's going to impact their
No,
bylaws.
but still, at the same time, some people were interested, because
Is
isn't
it
it
a
a public?
neighborhood?
And he's part of the CIC, shouldn't they at least be present so people know what they do? And that's what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
No, that we're not going to tell them about their membership or anything like that,
CIC
but
represents-
since they are represented here, maybe we should have something so people know, as a representative, what the downtown business.
And aren't all bylaws public
They're supposed to be public
documents, and they
bylaws.
should be
It's
able to get
nonprofit.
them?
And the same issue would be with the Chamber of Commerce.
Right.
You
Yeah.
have copies of the Chamber's bylaws?
Yeah.
Well, it would be nice if they're all part of our CIC to at least show these are members of it. I mean, I think that would be only.
So we would know, maybe there's something in them that we might want to change.
We're not going to
And,
change
no,
that.
to
We
put in
can't change
ours,
downtown
a wording
or-
that they have,
They could incorporate.
Chamber.
that we could
I
incorporate,
think she's
thank you.
suggesting they could,
Yeah.
there might
Yeah.
be something in either the Main Street or the Chamber's bylaws that could be incorporated into the
Yeah.
CIC bylaws.
That's true, too. So the big thing here is just, with them, we're not trying to direct anything. It's just that there might be some information that we could use. I know Mike's trying and running up against some problems, but Hopefully, we're going to meet again, as I said, in a couple of weeks, and we'll talk about all this. And we'll get back to the next meeting, what our progress is.
I had one quick question about that, sir. I forwarded you a request from Vicki Yates, because she worked on McLaughlin's bylaws, and she was interested. Did you get in touch with her?
I haven't had any chance. As I said,
Okay.
I haven't even started working on this because being out of town and
Okay.
tax time.
I know that Vicki worked very closely with McLaughlin, and when I mentioned that that the CIC was reviewing the bylaws, she was
I've kept the
as an-
email. I just
as an
haven't had
attorney,
time.
she was interested in
Right.
being able to.
Yes, Chris.
The neighborhoods might want to go onto the websites and kind of peruse your stuff, because I transferred everything from my computer to Katie's, so there might be some glitches. So
Well,
What could go wrong?
I think in mine there's minutes of when I typed it and sent it to the person to help me correct everything, so both the good and the bad.
So you might want to
So
kind
we're just looking
of
at bylaws right now.
Look at 'em.
Minutes
Yeah.
is another issue, but this is just bylaws. So we're not trying to interfere with any neighborhood. We just like to see where we have commonalities at this point. And then we'll report back to you. We'd like to make a list. This is what you have, what we all have. This is what's different. Okay? Moving right along. Let's go right to roundtable. Let's, Rocky, anything back there?
No.
Great. Okay, Howard.
We got a couple things. We
You want to come up forward so they can hear you? Oh, run.
we got a CNA meeting the 12th, 7 o'clock. Fire Hall. Our new city commissioner is going to come get quizzed. Kanema, they've opened the park up. Kind of. They're supposed to have it finished this week with the swings and all this stuff. Really, it's cool. It's going to be really good. They're just trying to keep people off because the grass is pretty wet, but it's really cool. The formal opening is going to be in July. I think Doug said something like that. This is just to kind of let people use it, but not really let you use it. One of the problems is going to be, and the neighborhood didn't see this, and the city didn't see it either, is there's only 8 parking spots. So the overflow is going to be when we have something. We've suggested in Metro that they just move their gate back and put in some gravel and put in some excess parking, but that's not going over too well.
How many handicap spaces you got there?
Pardon me?
How many handicap spaces you got, Howard?
I think there's 1 or 2.
Okay.
Is there 1?
1.
Can the overflow go to Paul's house?
Well, the people that own the property are concerned because they're parking on their property.
Paul's house.
That's one of the issues. Another one of the issues is with Metro is they want to do some development out there, and basically they want to cut all the fir trees on the west side of the Cemetery Road so the Savannah oak can grow. They want to change it to grow the oak. They cut 132 trees last year, and now they want to finish it. So that's one of the things.
150 in the plan right now.
Is that a good idea, or I'm not sure what you're saying here?
We're saying, hey, cut some of them, but don't cut them all.
Oh, I see.
Because what happens if you cut all the trees and the oak dies? You've got no big fir trees. Some of them fir trees are this big around.
Oh.
And we're just trying to say, hey, don't cut them all, but that's
You
the
could
plan.
phase them in and see how the oaks do first.
Well, they are doing a little of that right now.
Anyway, that's
Okay.
some of them are discussion. Other than that, we don't have much unless Paul has.
Oh, he'll find some.
Yeah, I'll come to him next. How about Alice?
McLaughlin
Thank you.
meets this Thursday night at 7 in the fire station. I don't know the speakers, so I have not heard from our chairs who our speakers are. So that's all I have to share.
Bob, did you have anything to offer at this evening for a roundtable?
No, thanks.
Okay, thanks. Then let's start with Paul. You've got 30 seconds. No, just kidding. I keep trying.
We, excuse me, I guess I'm getting a frog in my throat, went before the Natural Resources Committee and the HRB to explain the importance of protecting and saving the historic Kanema Cemetery Road, which is in a John McLaughlin 1846 map identified as the singular wagon road out of Oregon City. And so from 18 40s through until they started creating other paths. This was the Oregon Trail leading out, and we see a need to protect it because it's one of the only real live examples of it within an urban setting that's really pretty natural. Hasn't been dramatically altered or changed more than what Metro did the last time when they did logging and decided to grade some of it. We don't think that the grading or anything that happens to it is right, in that it should be really considered a historic landmark. And so we've made that request to the HRB, and this is to make sure that Metro, as a partner with us, understands that we appreciate what they want to do environmentally, and but at the same time, this is not something, a road that we can afford or should allow any authorization that alters it. As somebody that hugs a tree and is considered a preservationist, this is very high priority, and we voiced that opinion. We brought the original family from the Hedges donation. It was a Hedges donation land claim, and David and Cap Hedges joined me before the HRB, and we are going to come back under a formal scheduled item. But this is part of the preliminary part of people beginning to coming to the understandings of how important history is and how important this historic Kanema Cemetery is and the road that leads to it. And we should be good stewards of history, and I hope that everyone understands that.
Is that in the city limits, Paul?
No, it is all in the city limits.
It is?
Yes.
So why is Metro
Well,
grading
Metro owns the land on both sides of it, and Metro, and as part of their natural area. They don't own the road. They don't own the road. The road is owned by was deeded by the Hedges family to the Kanema Cemetery Association. And so as long as the Kanema Cemetery Association is good stewards of it, if they're not, the Hedges family or the heirs to it could have rights. And but it is an important landmark.
Yeah.
We're trying very hard to make sure everyone
Have
understands.
you made a presentation to Metro about that?
Brian Vaughn from Metro will be at the HRB in the next meeting. We'll be there side by side because he's going to make a presentation on grading and logging, and we're trying to say if you want to take some of the trees out, you might need to have helicopters or something like that, but don't grade, don't alter a very important part of our history.
I agree. Tom, you have a question for him?
I have a question, I guess maybe directed at Howard, based on what you said regarding the logging and the removal of trees. If this is in the city, they should have to get approval from the city to remove any trees of that size.
They did it before, I don't know. They had to get.
But if they're planning to do it again, I would make sure that the city has given them authorization to do so.
I thought you said the road was in the city, but
They came across the road and they tore the road up.
And then they
what they're trying to stop next time.
run logging trucks in and the skidders in. These are not very nice things when it comes to something of
I'm
critical
more concerned
importance.
with the trees.
those are on
If
Metro
the property
property.
is in the
that's what I
city,
thought I had heard.
Yeah, the trees are on Metro property, Tom, as I understand.
But the Metro
But
property
within
is
the
in the
city.
city.
it's within the city. I don't care who owns the property. If it's in the
I
city,
think that
they
for-
have to get approval from the city
Well,
to cut.
That's if you're developing a site, you get the tree inventory, or if it's trees in the right of way.
Yeah.
Not, if you have private property or
can cut all
metro
you
property or whatever property, you can do what you want with your trees. And unless you're going through a development review land use process, or if it's in the tree in the right of way. So just, that's a clarification for you, Tom.
Paul, I think that you've touched on a lot of great issues. I I grew up in playing in the woods there, and I live on Hedges, and with a gal that has been there for 51 years. And Metro's done two things. First of all, there was going to be a development there, regardless. Metro saved, at the same time that they drastically altered the landscape and the whole environment and the culture of Conema Park. But for Metro, there wouldn't be much left. They did, however, destroy, and you're partially incorrect. The wagon train was this beautiful rutted trail that you could see the ruts. It should have been a historic landmark, and Metro came in and they graded it, and then dropped broken chunks of concrete along it and absolutely destroyed what was left of the road. The path is still there, but the ruts are gone, and that was the oldest continuous road in Oregon. And they Metro did. On a side note, there was a monkey puzzle tree. It's not an oak, it's not a fir, but it was a tree that was planted from the Oregon Centennial when they passed these out. And so it was kind of a heritage tree. With disregard for the neighborhood and for Oregon City's culture and history, they destroyed that as well. So, dirty ones. So we've got to love Metro for saving it, but we've got to also remember that that's Conema Park, that's part of Oregon City, that's part of our personal heritage. And so I think that these meetings should be attended by more of us. And I know that Terry would love to be at some of these meetings and can explain that. I'm in Conema Park every day.
Thank you.
Okay. And I learned at the Oregon Ghost Conference that there's spirits up there. So if they keep digging this all up and tearing the trees down, there may be more spirits that get roused.
There's no spirits allowed in the park anymore.
Okay, next. Amy? Yeah, okay, let's go right to David and Greg.
We met in March, and we will meet again in May and have our election of officers.
Steve?
Park Place has a steering committee meeting on April 16th at 7 p.m.
You said the 23rd in that email to me.
1, 2, 3.
Because I planned our meeting for the 16th.
I said it was the third.
And you put the
Wednesday.
23rd on there.
So I said it was the third Monday, and I'm trying to. So you don't want to know where I was answering that email from.
Uh-oh.
So anyway, it's the third Monday. It's always the third Monday.
That's what I have on my calendar, the 16th.
Yeah, well, I got an email from today. Said that
Yeah,
I was
he got an
verifying with
email,
him
and
before I was.
I get easily confused when
Before I was putting together the bylaws committee meeting. Okay. Not sure how I'll handle that, but Kathy.
I think he
I got
one more.
Oh, sorry.
One more thing that I
Sorry.
haven't seen mentioned any place is the city cleanup that's coming up on April 21st. And we are still looking for volunteers to come and help. So we've got 2 sites in the Park Place neighborhood. We may only have people to help in one of them if we don't get more volunteers. So we're looking for people to come and join down at Clackamas Park if it's not underwater to help with the city cleanup. Next.
Okay, all right. I have some announcements. Phyllis Stocking, I'm going to pass these things. There's 3 flyers.
I'm sorry. I was just looking back at the minutes, and we mentioned that the citywide cleanup in the minutes said April 18th. And then just now you said it was April 21st. Here we go with date.
April 18th is a commission meeting.
So I just went for the record, when is the citywide
Take
cleanup?
one of these.
21st.
It's on Saturday.
Okay, so...
I'm going to take 2 because I've got to
Yeah,
go
that's
to
fine.
my
It's the 21st.
co-chairman.
So I'll change the minutes.
Again.
If that's agreeable to everybody by consensus,
Yeah.
the minutes said it was April 18th. We'll change that to 21st.
All right, so Phyllis Stockenfield Hart has their bingo at Pioneer Center. I'm sending a flyer out. It has the bingo night, April 28th. Burgerville and Gladstone, we get a certain percentage. It's May 24th from 5 to 8. If you eat, Phyllis Stocking gets money. and I've got little flyers. Concert in the Park, we're doing July 19th and August 2nd, and then Abernathy Center, Taste of Clackamas, we have changed it. It's November 8th, that way we're not all rushing around doing Christmas, and it's before Thanksgiving. And then John McLaughlin, I have flyers on them. The Parent Teachers Association there are trying to raise $35,000 to redo the track in the back, because there's like a little pothole here with yellow around it, and there's the edge is washed out on another place. And so they just had their Burgerville in March, where they got a percentage up there in Oregon City, but we're going into Gladstone. In April the 19th, Panda Express will give them a certain percentage if you eat there. Saturday they're having a track fun run, and there's a flyer going around about it. And then June 15th, Singer Hill's doing something. And their kids, I should have brought it, next time I'll bring it. It's a life-saving rope. It's a bracelet, and you put it on. The kids made enough money. They get $1 went back to the PTSO to buy probably the product, and the $4 went to the track. They made $900.
Nice.
Yeah, at $5 each. And then if you're out walking and hiking and you break your leg, you take it off your wrist. You take the glue off. You open it up and it stretches out, and you can tie a couple of some sticks to immobilize whatever you break. So, and we have our main, these kids made them themselves. They braided them, whatever, and made the knots and glued it, everything. The whole class is doing that. So I think that was wonderful. I supported it.
Okay.
Our meeting is in May, and we're having Maureen come on the library and speak with us. And then we had Scott Archer come on about Filbert Run open space.
When? That's for the May meeting coming up?
No, Maureen's coming. This is what we had before. I'm talking about March meeting. We had Scott Archer. He came in March. And we talked about the issue of the park and the people making fire pits and having burning and melting things in the fire pit. Get it cleaned up. And they dig again and line it with rocks. So we have a neighborhood project with the 6 houses that abut up to it. They want to clean it up and make it. A little girl got lost in it. If you're small and short, all the shrubbery, all the junk there, she got lost and couldn't find her way out. I mean, luckily, I don't know.
Good project.
Yes, so the neighborhood is having this as a project, and I facilitated it, and they're running it.
Okay.
What's the name of that park?
Filbert Run.
Filbert Run Park.
Okay, Tom.
He can add.
She's pretty well handled it. Scott was extremely responsive to the neighborhood in terms of working with us. In fact, he had a crew go over there within a week of our meeting to start removing some of the debris that's in there. It has been a collection point for debris by the former owner of the property. It is being used by some vagrants, and we think there's some drug activity back in there. And so we want to get it cleaned out. There are piles of debris, and Chris has provided us with a couple of contacts of other volunteer organizations who are looking to help. So we're trying to get an organized approach to it and have a dumpster brought in where we can unload a lot of the piles of debris and fallen timber and so forth that are in there. So right now it's not much of a park. You know, you can't even go through there without having to cut blackberries. So.
Well, and they actually, the first fire pit scorched somebody's fence. They have since cleaned it, but they did dig a deeper hole with line in it. So this is an ongoing. Yeah.
Okay. That's all, Tom?
Yes,
Larry.
thank you.
Caulfield Neighborhood Association will be having their meeting on the 24th. I will not attend. I'm going to be in Las Vegas.
Here's $1.
That's all I got to say.
Okay.
We're very happy. Nobody's calling me anymore with complaints, so I guess we must all like each other.
I pass, I have nothing. William?
In lieu of our neighborhood chair, Steve Anderson, I'll report that the Hillendale Neighborhood Association is having their meeting tomorrow night. We have 2 guest speakers. We have Maureen Cole, Library Director, and we're also having Eric Underwood, the Economic Development Manager. And we're meeting at the police station at 7 o'clock. And we have one other guest speaker who is the developer who has turned in a pre-app for a 108-unit apartment complex at the end of Warner Milne. So if you take Warner Milne up to where it comes into Molalla, there's the Bank of the West and Pizza Hut. You go straight through and it kind of dead ends there. There's a section of property behind that also abuts the cemetery. So between the cemetery and the rest of the whole Fox property development area there, they're proposing on extending a bunch of streets and making a lot of development there, and the developer is going to be coming and make a presentation of his pre-app. That's tomorrow night at 7 o'clock.
Nancy?
I don't have anything else.
Katie? Welcome again.
Thank you.
Chris, congratulations.
Thank you. Just want to remind everybody that this coming Saturday at Rivercrest Park is the citywide Easter egg hunt starting at 10 a.m. And thank you, everyone. It's been a pleasure, and I'm thrilled that we got all of the neighborhoods reactivated before I left. So,
good job.
Chris, I just have to say you've done a wonderful, wonderful job.
Thank you.
Yeah, above and beyond.
I have one question. When I send them this nice lady my newsletter, she will correct the spelling. Will she?
Sure she will.
All right.
You don't have spell check?
Hey, that don't work if you use
Atari.
Atari.
Don't ask. Don't ask.
Okay, Mike, you got 20 minutes.
There we go. No, I don't have much. We're very excited. All the businesses on Main Street, pretty much in Oregon City, were excited about the expedient way they moved a giant bridge, and what a great job you all did. It was really a good piece of positive reinforcement for local business, because I think a lot of us were dubious that they would do it on time, and they did it quite a bit earlier than they thought they would get it done. So that was wonderful. And also welcome Los Compadres on Main Street, a new little father and son Mexican restaurant. So we're happy about that, and mourn the loss of Muno's Bakery.
Oh, really?
And so that's a tough one. So win one, lost one with business, but the Los Compadres seems to be doing very well so far.
Okay. With that, I said 11 o'clock, and we shaved 15 minutes off the normal time. So next time I'm saying midnight, we might be able to get out of here 15 minutes sooner than that. With that, we adjourn the meeting. Thank you all for being here.
Hubba